Hello, I'm Chris Parkin and I'm here today with the Bergara B14 HMR in 6.5 Creedmoor. This rifle is a hunting match rifle, and Bergara's quest to solve the requirements of those who want to shoot at the range and those that want to hunt with one gun. Compromise is always difficult, so let's see how they did to suit all shooters. Looking at the rifle from the start, you see a synthetic stock, a regular B14 action, twin lug bolt, 90-degree lift. The 19mm barrel is threaded from the factory at 15x1 for a moderator or break. The house gun fitted here is excellent. This is a 22-inch tube on the 6.5 Creedmoor, which is 560mm. The 21mm diameter barrel on the 308 is available in 20 or 24-inch barrel lengths for a bit more velocity. The twin lug bolt removes with a push button on the side of the action here. You may or may not need to drop the cheek piece out of the way just to draw it out. It shows a Seiko style extractor and the right hand bolt lug. It's different to a Remington 700 which has the 3 rings of steel. Maybe matters, maybe it doesn't, I don't think so. The bolt is a 90-degree lift. It's light and it's smooth. It was smooth from the start, but it's actually got a little smoother as time has gone along, and I've shot about 300 rounds through this rifle. It will load in any way you like, and it's a slight knurling to the bolt handle here, so it gives extra grip in gloves but won't grind against your fingers. The ambidextrous magazine release on the front of the trigger guard exposes this. It's an AICS compatible 5-round mag. This polymer one from Bergara is easily replaced by any other magazines of that type in 5 or 10 rounds. You'll note from the back we've got a synthetic stock. We've got an inch thick recoil pad, and there are 2 spacers underneath this one, which gives a 360mm or 14.1 inch length of pull. 3 spacers are actually supplied. The recoil pad is homogeneous from top to bottom. There are no soft spots, so there are no relative hard spots that will dig into your shoulder. 2 screws slackened here allow it to come away slightly, and the spacers actually just slot in and out. You can see the back end has a butt hook to make it comfortable for use with your non-shooting hand in a support position. There's a rear stud fitted, 2 at the front for bipods and slings, but there are also 1, 2, 3, 4 flush cup fittings for extra slings. The stock shows stippling at the grip for a secure hold, and you can shoot in a thumb up or thumb wrapped position. The trigger is very good. It breaks at 900 grams and is, I would say, 95% crisp. There's a tiny amount of creep you can just discern, but it's not a problem. You can have plenty of space for gloved fingers in cold conditions, and the trigger is adjustable for weight, so you might want to up it to maybe 4 pounds so you can get a good solid feel on the blade in those thick gloves. The safety catch is fully operable. It doesn't lock the bolt, but it's totally silent and can be easily rolled and won't spook anything. Although it looks like a regular injection moulding, the stock actually has a complete aluminium chassis within it running to about here, which mates perfectly with the Bergara B14 action. The chassis makes it stiff in the fore end, but doesn't give it the kind of metallic feel that rings through your head when you shoot the rifle. All the anchor points for sling swivels are part of that integral backbone chassis, as I like to call it. Being based around Remington 700 dimensions mean any Remington 700 accessories or scope bases will fit. This is a tier 1 0 MOA inclination Picatinny rail. If you want to add a 20, there are 2 bolts in the front action bridge and 2 bolts in the rear action bridge that will allow that to lift off and swap. I've actually zeroed this with no problem, and it'll shoot out to 1150 metres with 13.9 mils of elevation dialed in. Should I want to go further than that, I would set the elevation back with a 20 MOA rail underneath it. The Carles has sufficient travel. Bergara barrels are button rifled, but they're done in a slightly different way to other people. Bergara deep drill and hone the bore, and then they draw the button through it to create the lands and the grooves. This is kind of the opposite way around, because most manufacturers will actually do the honing after the buttoning has been done. What's equally important is the heat treatment given to the barrel after that very stressing process. This heat treatment is what keeps the barrel on target when it gets hotter, and I will say that Bergaras do perform extremely well in this respect. Group sizes may open very slightly, but there's no fundamental shift in position. The Carl's optic's been pleasant to use. 13.9 milliradians will get you to 1150 metres with this particular load of ammunition, and you can see how the red button pops up there. It's maxing out at 15.6 milliradians on this setup. Adding a 20 MOA rail would have probably added 5.8 milliradians more. Carl's are quite the innovators, and as well as having parallax on top here, wrapping round the elevation drum, this one has windage on the right, but you can actually have the whole thing flipped round and have the windage on the left with the illumination on the right. The 6.2i has been a very reliable scope for me, and I've enjoyed using it. The 8-inch twist rate listed for the barrel in 6.5 Creedmoor makes it ideal for bullets from 100 grains up to about 160, although the 160s are probably a round nose format. 123s, 130s and 140, 42s are the best ones for long range shooting. At fixed distances I would probably go with the 140 or 142s, but in field firing conditions I like the 123s because they go a little bit faster and I get slightly flatter trajectory with them. The rifle was delivered to me with 130 grain hollow point boat tail Norma match ammunition. This shot very well, but when I added the sound moderator, it affected the barrel harmonics slightly and that ammunition didn't quite suit as well as before. I hand loaded some 123 grain Hornady ELD-Ms in the Norma brass with Vitavori N150 powder and a CCI BR2 primer. This has been my go-to load for the last 2 months on the rifle. My hand loads reach a speed of 874 metres per second, which is 2,869 feet per second. This equates to 2,249 foot-pounds, which is acceptable for all UK deer species. Perhaps not with the ELD-M bullet, but the ELD-X would certainly be perfect. Counting the lines under the cheek piece allows you to return to position, but it's probably easier just to put a pen mark on there. Using a supporting hand under the rear end for fine elevation control is excellent, but the large flat area also gives great contact on a soft bag. Here you can see the safety catch and cocked action indicator. Stripping the rifle is simple. Drop the cheek piece, lock it in position, remove the bolt. Of course you've already checked it's all unloaded. The magazine will come out, and there are two 4mm Allen key sockets at the rear and the front of the action bridges. And it will just drop out. Here you can see the Bergara trigger, which just has one weight adjustment screw. This is very similar to a Remington 700 footprint, the main difference being the recoil lug here, which is still sandwiched between the barrel and the action. If you look very carefully, you can see the action actually wraps around the recoil lug. So if the barrel is ever removed, the recoil lug will always go back precisely in position. The bottom metal drops back in here, the shorter bolt at the front, the longer bolt at the rear. Most people will say these want tightening to 65 inch-pounds. I go for about 5 Newton meters. And it's always good at this point to brake, to have a good thump on the floor or a bench before you do the final nip up. The B14 stock and action seem well mated together without any bedding stress. If I slacken off the rear action screw and watch to see how much the barrel rises up from the channel, you'll see there's not a great deal there, and that would imply there's very little bedding stress. I've had this rifle in and out of its stock several times using the same bolt torque settings. There has been no significant loss of zero, which is pleasing for me. I've been shooting the B14 HMR for a couple of months now, and my thoughts are it's done a very good job actually of meeting the compromise of what shooters at the range want and people who actually want to hunt with the rifle as well as go to the range need. The gun's not too heavy, it's very portable. It weighs 4.1 kilos, which is 9 pounds. It's not cumbersome to carry in the field, regardless of which types of sling you use. And it's versatile when shot from vehicles or prone from the ground. But it's noticeable when you take standing shots from sticks. The rear yoke of a set of sticks fits nicely into the butt hook here for a stable position. I also like the trigger. I like the trigger a lot. Being able to use heavy gloves in here, and if you need to in the winter, weight it up to 4 pounds so you get a good feel in those gloves. Yet in the summer, or when you're using lighter gloves, you can still have that nice 800 to 900 gram crisp pull. The versatility of scope mounting solutions is without doubt because it's based on the REM 700 footprint. It's based on the Mauser. You can put any railing you want. You can use it as a versatile rifle for, a target optic like this Carless 6.2 You could put a smaller 3 to 12, 3 to 15 optic on it for hunting requirements, or perhaps even in the long winter nights, swap it, use night vision on it. It's a great tool for that kind of job, and the Picatinny rail makes these swaps so easy. Torque wrench on those mounts, click, click, they're off, click, click, back on. You won't even really lose zero. The fact the barrel floats in all conditions is appealing. It's not just a cheap synthetic stock, it's been well thought through with that aluminium chassis. And most importantly, one thing I don't like about actual chassis rifles, it's a fully aluminium is, they tend to resonate through your cheek when they fire and they ring your head. This one has a very linear recoil path to your shoulder. It's stable to shoot. Okay, it's a 6.5 Creedmoor, it's not a huge recoil rifle, but I have shot the 308s as well. It's fully ambidextrous, and this nut can be swapped to the other side of the stock for a left-handed shooter. Accuracy from factory ammunition was good. It was shooting sub-inch at 100 yards with the Norma factory ammo, but I got the impression there was better to come from this rifle, and it's one of the few test guns I have that I wanted to hand load for, partly because I like the 6.5 Creedmoor. It was something I wanted to investigate more. Velocity has been excellent. 2 extra inches of barrel might have been nice, but I like the portability of the rifle from the 22. Okay, you might get 50, 75 feet per second more, but it's a very ballistically capable caliber as it is. Finishing to the action and barrel is excellent. It's nicely matte done with a blued finish, and the bolt is seamless. It came out of the box running smoothly, but it's actually got a little bit smoother still. It's as good as any of my customs, to be fair. The adjustable length of pull makes the stock suitable for all sizes of shooter. You can go as low as 13 3/4 or you can go up to 14.5. I like it. I think it's a very versatile gun. I would be quite happy to own one, and perhaps the most important factor is the recommended retail price is £1,127, which I think is excellent value for money. I suspect in your local dealer it might even be a little bit cheaper. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like, share, and if you feel it appropriate, add some comments. I'll try and answer any questions you've got to post for me. I'd just like to thank Ruag for the loan of the rifle, the ammunition, the scope, the rail, and the rings too. It's been a great package to shoot, and it's nice to see one distributor can encompass all regions of the rifle shooting world so well.